we are delighted to welcome you from our time Samarinda City, East Kalimantan, Indonesia, for opening ceremony the International Seminar What 2020, Mula Warman University, Samarinda, Indonesia. And we also honor for our organizer for these events, our faculty, agriculture faculty, Mula Warman University, the Dean of Faculty of Agriculture, Mula Warman University, our invited speakers, Professor Dr. Domingo Angeles from UPLB, Philippines. We also welcome our speakers, Dr. Patimakon Pasuwan from Konkan University, Thailand. And we also welcome our speakers, Professor Dr. Insinyur Ali Komsan from IPB University, Indonesia. And we also welcome for our chairman of International Seminar, Professor Dr. Bernata Saragi from Mula Warman University. And we are also welcome for all presenters and participants from Mula Warman University and for the world. And these international seminars provide a great opportunity for prospective participants to find a recent theoretical knowledge, research finding, and also experience in dealing with poverty, food, and nutrition security. As such, this seminar will feature presentation by international speakers. As we have seen, I have just mentioned, we have a great speakers from Philippines, Thailand, and also Indonesia. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to listen the opening speech delivered by the chairman of this event for Professor Dr. Bernata Saragi. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you to our MC. Today, Ms. Nova Solina Purba, MSc. Thank you to Professor Domingo E. Angeles from UPLB, Philippines. And thank you so much for your joining today and answer my emails and also to maybe to sometime others things collaboration after these seminars. And thanks to Dr. Patimakon Pasuwan from the Konkan University. I remember when I was to the Konkan University 2018, I visited to your labs. It's very amazing to me. And thank you very much. And also my professor, Ali Komsan, MS from IPB University, from Human Ecology Indonesia. He is also the head of the program Doctor Nutrition and Community from IPB University. And thank you for being available as speakers the international seminar at the Faculty of Agriculture in Mula Warman University. And we also thanks all the participants today. We have more than 500 participants, maybe from YouTube, but also in this room until to the 60 participants. But in the register in our online, there are more than 500 participants today. And what I say to the respect, especially to our Dean faculty, Professor Dr. Rusdiansah, and also the Vice of Dean, and also the head of the department, and all of participants who respect and join today. And as you know, the current food problem is very serious in line. I think that with the situation we are experiencing now, especially in the pandemic COVID-19. The COVID-19 pandemic has made our food security fragile, I think, not only a regional, national, also international food security. As conveyed by the Director General of Food Agriculture Organization, FAO, for the period 2000 until 2023, Koo Dong-Yu, the global food security is influenced by climate change, diet also, increasing population, land availability, also settlement development, including the COVID-19 pandemic. And In order to our theme today, poverty, food security, and nutrition are three interrelated sides, I think, which it must to handle, operate, reduce the poverty, and also increase the access to food and improve the community and nutrition. I think this is the problem now because we have the face from the pandemic COVID, and until today, maybe some country say this is the time how to build the food security, also food nutrition, especially to immunity, I think. Thank you very much for coming today, to all of our participants, especially to our speakers today. And thank you very much and enjoy this seminar. And we'll back to the MC, Nova Solina MSc, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bernatal, for the opening speech. Before we go to the next speech, I would like to remind you, please mute yourself and during this section, and later we have discussion time. So in discussion time, you have free time to unmute yourself, and then feel free to ask questions for all of our speakers today. Yeah.
Yes,
thank you so much for everybody. I would like to remind you, please mute yourself, and then we have a discussion time for you to ask a question. So in this time, I would like to ask you to please mute yourself, and then later in discussion times, you have a time to ask a questions. Next, ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to listen the opening speech delivered by the Dean of Faculty of Agriculture, Professor Dr. Rusdiansyah, MSI. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome for Professor Dr. Rusdiansyah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Salam sejahtera buat kita semua. Mohon maaf, saya sampaikan kata pengantar dalam bahasa Indonesia saja. Mudah-mudahan bisa dimengerti oleh peserta kita yang lain. Pertama-tama yang saya hormati Profesor Dr. Domingo Angeles from UPLB Philippines. Kemudian Dr. Patimakon Pasuan, Konkan University, Thailand, dan Bapak Profesor Dr. Ali Komsat dari IPB Bogor. Selamat siang Pak, Bapak Ibu semua. Kemudian peserta webinar dimanapun berada, selamat siang, salam sejahtera buat kita semua. Mudah-mudahan Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, Tuhan Yang Maha Esa, memberikan kesehatan dan kekuatan pada kita semua, serta memberikan kesempatan sehingga kita bisa dapat berdiskusi pada siang hari ini. Bapak Ibu semua yang saya muliakan, keadaan saat ini dengan terjadinya pandemi COVID-19 telah menyebabkan terjadinya perubahan tatanan yang cukup besar. Baik dari semua sektor, ya, baik tidak hanya pada tingkat regional, nasional maupun internasional, termasuk salah satunya adalah di sektor pangan. Adanya pandemi itu telah menyebabkan terjadinya kemiskinan, yang terus meningkat, kemudian terjadi perubahan struktur pangan kita, dan juga akhirnya akan berpengaruh pada sektor ketahanan pangan kita. Oleh sebab itu, bagaimana kita memikirkan, mudah-mudahan dengan adanya diskusi hari ini bisa diperoleh solusi bagaimana cara kita memperkuat sistem ketahanan pangan kita. Mudah-mudahan tidak terlalu berpengaruh nantinya setelah pandemi COVID ini selesai. Saya kira mungkin itu kata pengantar saya, dengan tidak mengurangi rasa hormat saya kepada Bapak Ibu semua, dan dengan mengucapkan Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, maka acara webinar hari ini saya nyatakan resmi dibuka. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Mr. Rusdiansyah, for the opening speech. And I would like to thank you also for all of you. You might give a big hand for our Dean of Faculty of Agriculture. As a big hands, give your big hands for the opening events today. All right. Thank you for the great cooperation today. Let me introduce some agenda after this speech. So we'd like to invite you. After this, we are going to have the main section is for the invited speech from 3 of our speakers, and then it will lead by our moderators, Professor Dr. Bernatal Saragi. And after the invited speech, we will welcome you all to turn on your camera. We are going to have some screenshot or taking a photo. So you might turn on your camera, and then we will have a very nice picture later. And after that, we are going to have like giving the certificate and also a discussion, and the end will be the end of this seminar. All right, without further, ladies and gentlemen, now I will give this microphone for our moderators. Please welcome to Professor Dr. Bernatal Saragi.
Thank you very much to Ms. Nova Solina Purba and also all of the participants today. And we continue to the seminar, especially we have already 3 speakers today. And also this seminar will be held in the parallel. And after the 3 speakers deliver the material, we'll continue to the discussion. Also, to all participants, ladies and gentlemen, please submit your question in the chat box on the Zoom. Name, institution, country, question to who. Feel free to post your question in the chat box. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, the first speaker was to Professor Dr. Domingo E. Angeles from UPLB, Philippines. We talk about the food security and nutrition in Philippines. And also, he is also the former dean, I think. And thank you very much. When I mailed to Professor Lotis, and she recommended to the Professor Domingo E. Angeles, because I think very famous of the people in Philippines, and he talked about the food security. And I think this is one moment special to us, especially in agriculture faculty in Global University. I think this is a very amazing moment from you coming and join and share for PowerPoint today. After that, the second speakers, Dr. Fatima Konfasuan from Khon Kaen University of Thailand. He will comment about the Thai functional food and also his experience, especially in his research, especially how to make the new functional foods. I think that's the experience today, also to our participants. Thank you very much. And also the third speakers from the Dr. Ali Komsan will convey about the food nutrition and challenge in Indonesia. I think this is very important to us, especially what we can do now, how to make the increase the food and nutrition security, especially in our country, because I have talked today, we have a fragile about those food securities. Ladies and gentlemen, we give a big applause to Professor Domingo E. Angeles from Philippine UPLB, and we'll be share about the topic, especially food and nutrition in Philippines. Please, Mr. Firman, to share the PowerPoint, Professor Domingo. Our team will be shared, and please to full the screen.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Please, Professor Domingo Angeles, time used today. Thank you very much.
Are we ready now? Okay. Now, I am Domingo Angeles. I retired professor in UP Los Baños and formerly the chair of the Interdisciplinary Studies Program on Food Security in UPLB. So thank you very much for inviting me in this seminar, and hopefully share with you my views about food security. Food security, let me just give you a brief background about the Philippines. Next slide. The Philippines is an archipelago. Next slide, please.
Next,
next, please. Okay. With 3 big islands. So, previous slide, please. Previous slide.
Back.
Okay, so we have a total land area of 30 million hectares and a population of about 105 million people. Our poverty incidence was relatively high, 20.8%. But the poorest among the poor include the farmers and fisher folks. No? It is ironic that those who produce food are even poorer than the average Filipino. Malnutrition problem is 3.3%. Next slide. Of 30 million hectares, about 12 million is devoted to agriculture. In fact, agriculture contributed 8.82% to country's GDP in 2019, as against the contribution of the service sector as well as the industry. 22.2% of the labor force worked in agriculture in 2019. Next slide. Next slide, please. So this is quite higher.
Next, next.
Next.
Maybe some trouble
Next,
to connection.
please. Okay. Now, in terms of production, we are self-sufficient in coconut, sugarcane, tomato, eggplant, and almost in chicken, breast chicken, no? But not in rice. No? In 2018, our rice self-sufficiency in rice was only 86%. Next, next please. Now, this shows to you the supply utilization accounts in rice in the Philippines. Take note, in 2018, our total production was 12 million metric tons, 12.4 million metric tons. And also in the same year, our need was 12,685 metric tons. So we have a roughly a difference of about 200,000 metric tons. And yet, if you will note that in the same year, 2018, we imported 2 million metric tons of rice. In fact, we are the biggest importer of rice in the world. So we have an excess of more than 2 million metric tons. This is due to the rice tarification law, which was just implemented in late 2019 until today. The reason why we imported a lot. No? Next slide. Next. Okay. Our productivity performance lags behind Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam. There was a study conducted in 2003-2013. But let's try to look at the data in 2013. The study was to determine the yield of about 20 crops. And each time the yield was lowest, it is given a rank of 4, and it is highest, a rank of 1. And out of 20 crops, 8 crops were given a score of 4, and 10 crops were given a score of 10, for an average of 3.3, compared to Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam. So if I may say, we are poorer in terms of productivity performance compared to our neighbors. And this is due to various reasons, as indicated in the slide. Our farms are fragmented, technology adoption is low, our R&D investment is low, and so on and so forth. Next slide, please. Next slide. Now, aside from poor performance in production, our food wastage is also high. Our food loss, meaning to say those that were incurred in production as well as in post-harvest was high. 24% in fruits, 12% in grains, 48% in vegetables. But our food waste was also high. So if you will note, about 5 billion kilocalories of food is wasted, no? Enough to feed about 2 million people. So if we can reduce food waste and food loss, we're quite better off. No? Next slide. Now, how much do we spend for food? So in the Philippines, 41.4% no, is spent for food by average household. And where do we spend them? For cereals. No? So we consume, of course, a lot of cereals and other cereal preparations, and followed by meat and meat preparations. No? Okay, next slide. Next slide. So our per capita consumption of rice, this graph was relatively older, but it shows you in 2015, our per capita consumption of rice was around 120 plus. But now it is down to 118 plus. So for corn and other product, it's about uniform, no? From the year it was studied. Next slide. Now, how about consumption? People from rural area, the average consumption per capita was 846. A little less than the average consumption per capita in urban areas. If you will note that in rural areas, more people consume rice and rice products compared to urban areas. But in urban areas, they consume more for meat and meat products, fruits, as well as milk and milk products. And you can see in the next slide, that the poor families consume, maybe this is also true in other developing countries, more of cereals and cereal products. Whereas the middle class to rich families will consume proteinaceous products, milk, meat, and fish. Next slide. So our malnutrition problem is 33.4%. No? Stunting, representing malnutrition situation in the Philippines. And you will note in the map that most of the provinces are in reddish color. That means that the poverty incidence was 30% and above. The darker red in color, it has more than 40% malnutrition problem. But the good news in the Philippines that half of the households now, the good news that majority of the households can afford energy diet only, energy only diet. Whereas the bad news that half of the households cannot afford a nutritious diet. So next slide. So how about hunger? The hunger situation in 2014, if you will note in the slide, was only around 17%. But the pandemic exacerbated the hunger situation in the Philippines. And in July of 2020, about 20.9% of the households reported hunger. Next slide. Okay. And they are generally in Mindanao, particularly the autonomous region for Muslim Mindanao, which has about 20% or so of the households are in subsistence, meaning to say has experienced hunger, but less in Luzon. This is National Capital Region. This is from 1 to 5. This is in Luzon, and 6 to 8. This is in Visayas, and 9 to ARMM. This is in Mindanao. Next slide. Okay. So our ranking in the Global Hunger Index was 69 out of 107 countries in 2019. So it's quite discouraging to know, frustrating to know. Of that. Next slide. Next slide. Well, as you know, I think everybody knows that food and nutrition security has 5 major and equally important elements. No? To be food secure, food must be available, food must be accessible, food must be utilizable, and food must be adequate and available any time of the year. So as long as food is not available and people could not afford to buy food simply because they are expensive, and people are poor and do not have income, then food is not accessible. No? So there are determinants of these elements as shown in the graph. Next slide. Now, in 2018, we were ranked 70 out of 130 countries. But DOST, of the Department of Science and Technology, Food and Nutrition Research Institute, reported that a large portion of our households are food insecure. Next slide. So, our strength is in availability, no? But our weakness is in accessibility, simply because of high incidence of poverty, as well as inefficiency in the production system. Next slide. So the challenge is, how shall we increase productivity, farmers' income, food affordability, and food safety? Government, of course, is trying its best to address this, increase production, increase farmers' income by diversification, etc., etc. But we are confronted with various issues. Next slide. Also, and there are reasons behind our inability to attain higher productivity and higher efficiency in our production systems. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are the reasons why we are not producing much. No? For example, in rice, the average per hectare yield was 2.6 tons. For what do you call this, inbred rice. But if we will plant hybrids, we can get as high as 12 tons. No? But this is the national average. But in well-managed farm, we can get 6 to 8 metric tons. Our crop farm size was continuously decreasing, 1.2 hectares. We have decreasing arable land due to land conversion. Next slide. Our cropping intensity for rice was only 1.2. I think in Vietnam they can get as high as 2. No? We had weak extension services because our extension services in agriculture was devolved to local government, which sometimes have different priorities other than agriculture. Tendency of rural agriculture workers to move to the cities to seek for more higher income employment. Next slide. And our land is degraded. No, about 46% is eroded. 17 of this, 17% is seriously eroded. Next slide. Our well, just like you, not maybe you, no, but us here in the Philippines, we are prone to natural disasters. No? Strong typhoon, just like yesterday, there was a strong typhoon that passed by here in this area. Okay, so of course we encounter a lot of natural disasters here in the Philippines that affected production. Next slide. As I have mentioned, the slow delivery of basic agricultural services with the devolution of agriculture basic functions to local government, which sometimes have different priorities other than agriculture. Next slide. And our farms are small, no? And fragmented. So we cannot expect much from smaller farms because of inefficiencies in the production system. Next slide. Our investments in agriculture is low. Even in R&D, it's only 0.1% of the total GDP compared to 5% in developed countries. Our farmers are aging, about average of 58 years old, and nobody would like to go in agriculture, especially among the youth. Our farmers are simply engaged in primary production, no, and neglect the value-adding activities which may increase their production, their income. Their farm is a farm, not an agribusiness, and there is this governance issue. When we say governance issue, the way we plan and implement our programs. It seems to me there is a disconnect between the local government planning and national agriculture planning in agriculture. No? And sometimes, and most of the times, they are not harmonized. Next slide. So where do we go from here? Next. So given the data above, we can say that we are food insecure, and that we have to work a lot to be food secure, and maybe to increase our ranking in the global food security ranking. We have to work hard, and we are signatory to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which would last until 2030. With objectives of ending hunger, achieving food security, improving malnutrition, improving nutrition, and promote sustainable development. And this is the guiding principle of the Department of Agriculture as it lays down its programs for the next years. Next slide. And the Department of Agriculture alone is not the sole agency of government that should work towards achieving food security. You know? Because some are mistaken that when you ask for whether or not food security, we are food secure, they will tell you, you ask the Department of Agriculture, but it's not. It is the work of practically all agencies of government in the Philippines. Department of Agriculture, Department of Agrarian Reform, Department of Natural Resources, Environment and Natural Resources, local government units, etc., etc. And the nutrition aspect must not only be addressed by DA, no, because they should promote nutrition sensitive agriculture. But it is a work also of Department of Health, Department of Education, and Department of Social and Welfare Development. Next slide. But we have also to tap the private companies and civil society groups, as well as social enterprises, to help the government achieve food security. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so this is the program of the Department of Health attending to malnutrition problem, supplemental feeding program, okay, national dietary supplementation program, macronutrient supplementation program, and so on and so forth. And the Department of Agriculture, of course, is implementing, next slide, please, a lot of programs. The plant program, of course, it is distributing seeds, fingerlings, animal fertilizers, no, and so many other programs with the objective of helping farmers, no, increase productivity and making food available to consumers. Next slide. So, as I have mentioned, DA, Department of Agriculture alone is not the sole agency mandated to work on achieving food security, but it must be all other agencies of government. And there must be a coordinated and integrated programs, no, to achieve food security. In my opinion, that is a disconnect in the programs of government. Sad to say that, no, because the Department of Health, for example, is working seemingly independently of the Department of Agriculture, and all other agencies of government seems to me have programs, no, their own programs independent of one another. Although nowadays, with the pronouncement of the Department of Agriculture Secretary, it seems that they are trying to have a convergence among their programs so that they can better work on achieving food security in the Philippines. Next slide. Okay. Here in UPLB, our views is that we should have a broad-based and sustained growth in agriculture to enhance food security. You know? And that agriculture must be transformed, you know, into a productive and profitable primary agriculture. You know? We must be competitive, consider agriculture as an agribusiness and produce what the market needs, and we should diversify in high value crops, because over the years the focus of the government seemingly is on rice, simply because it is our staple crop. 80%, 70 to 80% of the budget of the Department of Agriculture is spent for rice program, with less for high value crops, livestock and poultry and fisheries. Unlike in our neighbors, for example, in Thailand as well as in Malaysia, as far as I know, they have invested a lot in high value crops, like what do you call these, fruits, vegetables, even ornamentals. Although even though they are not food, no, but they are high value crops. No? So this is our view, that we have to transform agriculture and invest more on high value crops to enhance food security, increase our income, farmers' income, and enhance production as well, and enhance food security. Next slide. And this is the food security framework released by the Department of Agriculture. So you will note our vision is food secure, resilient Philippines with prosperous farmers and peace folks. Completely along the goal 2 of sustainable development goals of the United Nations. We have to survive according to the Department of Agriculture, and we have to reboot our agriculture. And by rebooting, to attain the food security, availability, access, affordability, etc., we have to consolidate our farms. As I've told you earlier, our farms are small and fragmented, so we have to consolidate to attain higher efficiency. We have to modernize. We have to industrialize, meaning to say we have to expand the value-adding activities, which will include the secondary processing of our agricultural crops. We have to be competitive and export oriented, but we have to have budget. We have to have money, of course, to support all of this, as well as legislation and roadmaps, particularly for various crops. So I think that the key results areas are presented here. The issues that I have raised earlier, confronting agriculture as well as food security, are being addressed through these 8 major strategies as propounded by the Department of Agriculture. So hopefully, with our 73 rank in the Global Food Security Index, we can probably increase it 5-10 notches above 73, maybe 63, and of course reduce food insecurity among the households and increase food security in the country. So thank you very much. Next slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Professor Domingo Angeles. The excellent presentation today. I think also the participant in order to our statement, because Indonesia is look like in Philippines. I think so also in Thailand also. We have some problems, especially undernutrition, stunting also, and also the hunger, I think, and also about the productions, especially in our country, not more than 5 tons per hectare also, especially in our province, in its Kalimantan, is there only 4 tons per hectare, in order to the Professor Domingo Angeles said in Philippines. Thank you very much. A very excellent presentation today. And we continue to the second presentation center today to Dr. Fatima Kohn Pasuans. May you, I think, share by yourself or our teams? Okay, share by Dr. Fatima Kohn. Thank you very much.
Noah, can I use my presentation here?
Yes.
Is this
Oh,
okay?
yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Sure, Atan. Are you a co-host or not?
Yep. Right.
Oh, yeah, please try. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I will use my presentation is from here. Okay. Let me try.
All right. Yes, you can see.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
all
can
right.
see it, right? Okay. Thank you.
It's clear, the screen. Thank you very much.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me today to present my topic. After I got a mail from Professor Sarah Benatol, right? Sarah G. Maybe it's not correct. So I have to present something about Thailand case study, functional food development. So actually my expertise is about food safety. So it's quite far from my field, but luckily a couple of years ago, I have a chance to work with the local food producer here in Khon Kaen, Thailand. So I can have some research to present to you all about this. So my topic is about functional food. So functional food, meaning the food that fortify with the extra nutrients to really help you to get more benefit or to help you to like reduce the risk of disease or the food that function on something in your body. In my topic for today, so I'm gonna talk about like 3 products here. So the first product is about the green coffee, and the second one is gonna be like using the benefit from Chaya, and the last topic is gonna be like the probiotic application in some meat product. Okay, so the green coffee. So I will start with the green coffee. It's about the development of green coffee bean beverage. So I will give you some background and chlorogenic acid concentration on green coffee beans using roasting and subcritical water extraction and the product from green coffee. So from Chaya, so I'm gonna give you like some details, but not for the whole detail because this study is under publication. It belongs to the PhD student here in Khon Kaen University. So maybe I cannot give more detail about that. I'm sorry in advance. And the last topic is about probiotics, the application of probiotic strain. This is the work of my student, the master student, and published already. So you can find it in the website. Okay. Well, the green coffee. So coffee in Thailand is quite like famous, the coffee drink. So coffee is one of the most widely consumed agricultural product in the world. Coffee consumption rate have increased worldwide in the last decade. So by 1 or 2% per year, and the demand of specialty and high quality of coffee has increased sharply in recent years. So the functional beverage market has shown growth rates ranging from 15% to 20% per annum in comparison to the growth rate of 2 to 3% per annum for both and general food market and lighter food and beverage market. So the green coffee, so I mean the unroasted coffee bean is today considered as a functional food that usually consumed as a form of food supplement called green coffee extract or GCE, and few are produced as a beverage. So we have some idea to use like the green coffee bean to produce some beverage because CGA, so chlorogenic acid in green coffee. So it might be good for our health because it might be affect the metabolism of glucose and fat and brain energy, leading to reduce body mass index. Okay, that's the background of my study about green coffee. But the green coffee, so it means unroasted coffee. So you might get the unpresent order as a form of beverage that is some product of crushed raw green beans so that the consumer can can brew it with the hot water. However, it had unpleasant that I told you, such as green light and greeny flavor that is undesirable by consumer. So we try to use like 2 different methods to reduce the green bean, but we can have, but at the end we still have like the high chlorogenic acid in the coffee product. So we use like roasting. This unpleasant odor of green bean can be removed by the heating process. Commonly by roasting, it can improve the desired aroma and flavor, but the high roasting temperature might cause the breakage of chlorogenic acid and leading to isomerization and degradation. And the other methodology that we use in this study is called subcritical water extraction. In addition, the latest research investigating the extraction of CGA from green coffee bean in subcritical water extraction could promote solubility as the thermokinetic energy rise. So subcritical water extraction can be like alternative heating treatment to maintain high chlorogenic acid and reduce unpleasant odor. Therefore, the development of functional beverages based on green coffee bean was carried out through 2 different heating processes. For material, so in this part, so we use the coffee bean from Chan state, from Myanmar. And as I told you, I have worked with the local producer in Khon Kaen, Thailand. So this is his company. So this is the brand of his company, Robin Coffee. So we got the bean from the local producer, and he said like, yeah, the coffee bean from Chan state, Myanmar. And we have to analyze the CGA content by using like HPLC. For methodology, as I mentioned, so we use like 2 different methodology. So first, the roasting. So in this step, so we classify into 2 types of level of the temperature that we use in this study. So we call LT, so it means low temperature, long time. So for this step, long time, so we use like the temperature start with 100, 120, 150 degrees Celsius, and the time with 15, 30, and 45 minutes. For another condition that we call HTST, so high temperature short time. So we use the temperature at 180 degrees Celsius, 200 degrees Celsius, and 230 degrees Celsius, and the time 3, 5, and 7 minutes respectively. So we put like the green coffee about 100 grams, and then we put into the hot air oven. And before we put that, the hot air oven was preheat and set the time. And then we put the coffee bean in there, and we like record the time after it finished. So we take it out and cool at the room temperature. As to the subcritical water extraction, so subcritical water extraction we use at the temperature 100, 112, and 125 degrees Celsius, and the time at 15, 30, and 45 minutes. For this study, we use like a factorial experiment in this study. So we start with the green coffee beans, and we ground, and then we put 5 grams into the bottle, and we add more water and put in the autoclave. Yeah, before we put into the autoclave. So we preheat it and set the time, and yeah, we focus on different temperature and different time. After that, we cool at the room temperature, and we filter and get the supernatant for the next analysis. For yeah, for the analysis, so we check with the chlorogenic acid and yeah, some caffeic acid and some of the thing with the HPLC. So we calculate so we analyze for CGA concentration, and we also check with the sensory evaluation. So we use like 9-point Hydronic scale, and we check with the packaging acceptability, acceptation. So the panel for this part is about 100 panelists, so 50 panelists from the faculty and 50 panelists from the coffee cafe, because the local producer is also like, they own the coffee shop by himself. So he's owned his coffee shop by himself. So we can use his facility to do the sensory evaluation. As for the statistical analysis, yeah, we also check with the statistical analysis. And as you can see here, is standardized Pareto chart from the figure 1, and you can see like the temperature it's quite significantly affect to the chlorogenic acid with the LT-LT condition, and as same as the figure 2, the temperature also affect the chlorogenic acid condition in this condition, but the time it didn't affect much on the chlorogenic content. So the chlorogenic concentration is not affected by time, but affected by temperature. It showed that chlorogenic acid concentration decreased in higher temperature in both LTST, low temp short time, and also high temp short time condition. Okay, the figure 3 also represent the effect of temperature and time in chlorogenic acid concentration by roasting treatment. Okay, as you can see here, the high gas concentration of CGA is obtained by condition at 180 degrees Celsius in 5 minutes with this number 55 milligram per gram, and the lowest concentration of CGA shown by condition at 150 degrees Celsius in 30 minutes, but has no significant difference with the condition at 150 degrees Celsius at 45 minutes and 230 degrees Celsius in 7 minutes. Even like you can see like 180 degrees Celsius show the high gas, but there are no significant difference among 7 treatments in this graph, like 100 at 30 minutes, for example. Okay, so it's you can see here in high temp short time condition, it shows the initial increase in chlorogenic acid concentration on 5 minute roasting in all temperature condition. However, longer roasting period resulted in a loss of chlorogenic acid concentration. So the results were mentioned by the previous researcher. The increment of chlorogenic acid concentration could occur due to the other chemical transformation may occur. The dominant being dehydration of the quinic acid moiety and formation of the lactone ring. Longer roasting period, however, resulting in a loss of total chlorogenic acid, it could be associated with the breakage of chlorogenic acid, leading to isomerization and degradation due to the temperature increasing. In terms of determining the base condition, the lowest time was chosen considering time, cost, and energy efficiency. For example, for temperature 200 degrees Celsius is chosen due to showing stability in chlorogenic acid concentration, resulting at every time variable. Sorry. So for the next treatment, so we use like subcritical water extraction, as you can see here. The latest study by Zakaria and Carmel, CGA extraction in subcritical water extraction was at 160 degrees Celsius and 40 minutes. In this study, 40 minutes was the lowest time in their experiment that could have a correlation with the result of this study. So due to the fact that there is no significant difference in every condition in subcritical water extraction, CGA concentration in untreated green coffee beans and lowest temperature and time for subcritical water extraction were analyzed using pair sample t-test. So according to the result, a comparison between untreated and subcritical water extraction of green coffee bean is significantly different for CGA concentration with a confidence level of 95%. Subcritical water extraction is also resulting in a higher CGA comparison with the untreated green coffee bean. So it showed that the subcritical water extraction method is considerable as the extraction method for CGA. So based on the subcritical, based on the statistical analysis, CGA concentration is not affected by the temperature and time. Condition with the lowest temperature and time, which is at temperature 100 degrees Celsius in 15 minutes, was chosen as the best condition considering time, cost, and energy efficiency. So after we get the condition, so we try to produce the product because we would like to launch the product to the market. So we use the condition of roasted coffee bean, and we do the sensory evaluation, and we try to have like the product, the package acceptation from the consumer, from the panelists. So we have like 100 panelists, and you can see here we use like compare the sensory evaluation as the attribute that you can see here. We check with the color, aroma, taste, acidity, body balance, and also like the bitter taste. And we check with the overall. So with the untreated, with the black line and the red line is the condition that we choose with roasted at 200 degrees Celsius in 3 minutes. And you can see unroasted quite not so much difference, but it can show the high acceptance score than the untreated. And as for the acceptation for the package, untreated, for the acceptance of the package, so the consumer, the panelists can accept like 89%. So green coffee bean using roasting temperature at 200 degrees Celsius in 3 minutes give the most optimal condition with stability in CGA concentration. So it's around 52 milligram per gram. Okay. So as for the condition that we use from subcritical water extraction, so here is the package that we use for the acceptance, for the consumer acceptation. So you can see the number is 89%. So yeah, 89% can accept this appearance. And when you look at the figure 5, it's about the comparison liking score between roasting, between not roasting, it's extraction of by using the subcritical water extraction. So this is something wrong here. So you can see the subcritical water has a maybe it's not too much different for each attribute, but just only the aroma that you can see, the untreated has a lower score than the subcritical water here. Okay. And yeah, for acceptance, subcritical water has like 66% acceptance, like higher than untreated. So for final product, you can see here. So for we check with the final product again, all attribute is show a little bit higher than we use like we try to reduce the unpresent odor, so we mix with something like for the subcritical water. After we get the comment from the consumer because of the beanie flavor, so we try to add something like the jasmine leaf, green tea leaf in there, but maybe it's not the right choice in this time, but we try to reduce some smell. But when we add like jasmine green tea leaf, so some consumer a little bit confused about that, because like we're going to make like the coffee, but when we add like jasmine green tea leaf, so consumer confused, like what are you going to make? You are going to make tea, or you're going to make like coffee? So yeah, but we don't have so much choice, because we talked to the owner of the coffee shop. So he said like, okay, maybe we just like add some, and he suggests us to add some jasmine tea to the coffee, and then yeah, a bit maybe the consumer a little bit confused about that. So, and you can see like the final product has higher score than the subcritical water here. Yeah, maybe because some consumer like tea, the smell of tea more than like the beanie flavor of the original coffee. And yeah, finally we can have like the finished product, and the local producer, the owner, try to launch the product in the dry one first. Even like the product that we use like subcritical water extraction has higher CGA, but it's quite difficult for the local producer to produce it. So he tried to launch like the dry product first, and then they launched like the deep bag coffee in the brand Robin, and this coffee has like 600 milligram of CGA, and the benefit of this product, so you can see here, you can control the weight and burn of extra fat, lower blood pressure, sugar level, and reduce the risk of type 2 diabetic, and yeah, has a lot of like antioxidant. So this is the final product, and you can look for more information on his website, www.robingreencoffee.com. Okay, so this is a drip bag coffee. Okay, for the next study, it's about like using the herb as in Thailand we call chayat, and the other country also call chaya as well. So we try to use this plant as a main ingredient in seasoning, and try to reduce some sodium in the food ingredient in Thailand. And this is belong to the PhD student in the Faculty of Public Health here, and I am the co-advisor of her study. And I have to say sorry, because she's under publication. For some detail, maybe you cannot see it, but this is like just something that you can have it, because before I I presented, I asked her, can I present all of that? And she said like, yeah, maybe some, so maybe not for the whole. But the background of her study is about like the chronic kidney disease. So this is one of the major public health problems across the world and also in Thailand as well. So the mean of global at consume like sodium is about 3,950 ml per day. So it's about like chloride and also calcium. However, Central Asia and South Asia consume sodium as top of the world. So WHO recommend that salt consumption can be reduced by choosing product with low sodium content. So that's why we try to make some food seasoning, some seasoning that reduce sodium to make like much more benefit to our health, but we still have something like delicious to consume. Yeah, as you can see this slide about the main sodium source of Thai population. So we consume like fish sauce. So we can get like sodium from fish sauce, 96%, and from salt, 91%. And yeah, you can see this is like the ingredient, source of ingredient that we can have like the salt into our body in Thailand. And this is the scope of the study to reduce sodium seasoning powder that enhance flavor in food. So yeah, we try to make the ingredient that's suitable for people who have a problem with consuming sodium, especially chronic kidney disease or hypertension or etc. So the first step, so we try to make the product development. Reduced sodium seasoning powder is one choice for patients with chronic kidney disease and improve nutritional value of seasoning from vegetable, herbs, and chaya. So we try to have like the new product that have use the benefits from chaya, because chaya have something that we are interested in. And using as a seasoning, so replacement of high sodium seasoning using only ingredient to enhance the food flavor, adding to seasoning maybe many type of food, and try to use this product with the patient with chronic disease. Reduce the objective of this study to reduce the sodium uptake to the body, dropping blood pressure and preventing chronic kidney disease. And here is the chaya, or the scientific name is Pseudoscolus aconifolius. So we use like just only the leaf here. We don't use the flower. Yesterday she talked to me like, yeah, maybe you can remove this because we don't use this, but yeah, I still put it there. But we use the leaf from this plant. But the leaf also consists of some cyanide. So we have to reduce our cyanide from the leaf. And this leaf, it is rich of protein source and amino acids more than 17, including glutamic acids. So this is the goal of our study, because we know like chaya leaf has high glutamic acid, and glutamic acid is one of the thing that can make the food delicious, to make the food like umami, or to make the food yummy. And it's also found like antioxidant in the leaf, so we can use this part to produce the seasoning in our products. Yeah, she said, the student of mine, she also said like because chaya leaf has cyanide, so she checked with the toxicity, and this is the graph of the toxicity, and you can see here chaya, the qualify of reduced sodium seasoning with herb and chaya in product like detoxification process, nutritional analysis, and photooxidant and toxicity test. So this is like we check with the toxicity, and using natural ingredient from earth and shea, claim as a reduced sodium seasoning, followed by this is our regulation. So we follow with this regulation. This is a regulation in Thailand. And after that, we can have like the finished product look like this. And this is nutritional fact of this product. So you can see like the energy, the moisture content, the protein, carbohydrate, and fat and sodium. So here. And yeah, as I told you, after we have the finished product, we check with the patient who has like the chronic kidney disease at stage 1 or 2. So we use like the randomized control trial, and we have like we separate into 3 groups. The group 1 is control and seasoning with reduced sodium. So this is like we use like the commercial seasoning. And the last one, the last group is a seasoning with the reduced sodium with shea, and we correct the data 8 weeks, and we check with the side effect, and we check with the serum, creatine, blood pressure, and microalbumin, and something like that, and we can see the result. But yeah, we can reduce the blood pressure of the patient for the group of people who have like shea here. And we also check with the sensory evaluation of our product, and you can see like this is the attribute that we do with the sensory evaluation. We check with the color, we check with the taste, we check with the flavor, and we check with the overall acceptance, comparing with the commercial seasoning that sell in the market. Yeah, we check with 2 different groups of panelists. So the first group is the people who risk to have kidney chronic disease, 100 people, and the other group we check with a healthy people, 100, a healthy people with 100 people, panelists in this group. So in total, we check with 200 panelists. So it is a new reduced sodium seasoning powder being useful and supportive the diet by reducing salty food, and it could be controlled sodium consuming that is significant different by improving salty taste bud and lowering blood pressure. So this is the thing that I can tell you. Yeah, for the last topic, for the last study of mine is about like the application of probiotic strain to extend shelf life of marinade beef and pork meat. So the researcher is Mr. Takiku Richard Muteji. He is a student from Kenya, and he worked with me with this topic. So for this study, we try to use like probiotic strain in the marinade meat, because as I have mentioned you before, I'm working with the food safety. So first, I would like to study about like the probiotic strain can prevent or can inhibit or can kill the foodborne pathogen in the meat or not. So we try to use the probiotic strain in the marinade meat. But the thing that we have from this study, so we can have like, because as you know, the probiotic strain can produce some bacteriocin or some organic acid that might be good to your health. But in this study, we didn't like analyze for that. We just check with the beneficial of adding lactic acid bacteria into the meat to inhibit the foodborne pathogen or not. And we compare with the Niacin standard, and you can see the result here. It can reduce. So when we add a probiotic strain in the marinade meat, it can reduce or it can prohibit, it can inhibit the foodborne pathogen, especially like Listeria monocytogenes that can cause the illness in the consumer. So here is the reference. So that's all of my presentation. Thank you very much for your kindness attention.
Okay, thank you very much to Dr. Fatima Pons. It's a very excellent presentation today. And I think one of the problems in drinking coffee is the acid, because the some people say they do not want to drink a coffee because the coffee to make our body not good. But in this paper, tell to us coffee to make our body as good. Another problem in the health, I think, especially now, in the world, increase the consumption of the sodium from the salts and also the fat. But we can find this paper today, the another solution, how to reduce the, I think, the sodium consumption in our country, especially in Indonesia, also in the world, I think. Thank you very much. A very excellent presentation today. And we continue to the third speakers today, Professor Dr. Ali Komsan from IPB Bogor University, and we'll convey about the food and nutrition challenge in Indonesia. And we have time 25 minutes to present, and I hope, okay, Professor Ali Komsan to share myself this presentation. You can see the screen. Thank you very much for Ali Komsan. Time is yours. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Professor Bernata Saragi. This time I'd like to share with you about food and nutrition challenges in Indonesia. When President Sukarno in 1963 came to Bogor to start building Bogor Agricultural University or IBB University, she mentioned that food is very important issue for all nations, and it is a disaster when people experiencing food shortage. So we need an extraordinary effort to fulfill food for all people. 200 years ago, Malthus stated a theory that at global level, food production increase, but population will increase higher than food production, and starvation become a threat for people around the world. At that time, Malthus didn't realize that family planning has reduced population growth, and birth control has been implemented in many countries. And also industrialization in agriculture increased the food production. So starvation, like Malthus theory, that does not happen except in less developed countries. And if we talk about food security status, I categorize them into 3 categories. The first category is category A. This is a country like USA, Canada, Australia, and Brunei. Basically, they have food capacity strength and good natural resources, so the food security is can be considered as high. For example, USA is industrialized country, but at the same time still focuses on agricultural production. So it makes USA a superpower. And then category C this is as like Singapore, Norway, and Japan. They actually has limited natural resources, but the food security is stronger than countries with category B, such as Indonesia or Myanmar or maybe the Philippines. And category C are prosperous countries, basically, and food import contributes significant amounts to meet their people needs. This is a picture of food consumption pattern in Indonesia. Like in Philippines, cereals has reached the limit 100% of RDA, cereals, and also fats. But if we look at the tubers, animal food, nuts, vegetable, they are to be improved. And this is the situation, unbalanced situation, that we need to reduce consumption of rice and try to increase the consumption of animal food and nuts and vegetable and also fruits. This is a kind of local food, taro, sweet potatoes, and cassava, who can replace cereal as staple foods. But nowadays we can see that all of these things are consumed only for snack only. And as you know that Indonesia is rich with natural resources, many kind of fruit and vegetable are produced, but we are sorry to tell you that actually the consumption of fruit and vegetables is still very low in Indonesia. And now this table shows you about the trend of food consumption in Indonesia. In 1954, rice contribute only 53% of carbohydrate consumption. And in 2008, it became 86% contribution to carbohydrate consumption. And at the same time, wheat flour increased the contribution, become 6.3%. And other foods like tubers, corn, decreased from 1954 to 2008. Like the Philippines, we understand that Indonesia consume a lot of rice, about 115 kilogram per capita per year. And as compared with other countries who also eat rice like Malaysia, Thailand, Japan, and Korea, I think Indonesia is the highest. Actually, we consume higher rice, but only consume small amount of animal food. This is a case study in community in West Java who do not eat rice, but they consume cassava rice since 1924. And they have ability to process cassava to become other foods like cake and cookies. And the population in this community is very small. They applied or implemented the desertification program in staple food. And I'll show you about the vegetable and fruit consumption based on national survey in 2014. We can see here that at total, only 108 grams per capita per day, Indonesian people eat fruit and vegetable, 100 grams only. And if we compare to the WHO recommendation, which said that we should consume 400 gram per person per day, consisted of 250 gram vegetable and 150 gram of fruits, then we only consume 25% of WHO recommendation. And now we can see about the milk consumption. If we see from the Indonesia on average, consumption of fresh milk is only 100 milliliter per month. This is very, very small because a cup of fresh milk consists of 250 milliliters and or 30 grams of bottled milk. So I can say that consumption of milk of Indonesian people is very, very low. And this is a comparison in some countries between Indonesia, Singapore, and other countries. We can see that we only consume 13.5 liter per capita per year. And as compared with other countries like India, Malaysia, and also USA or UK, I think we need a lot of effort to increase the consumption of milk. And this is a picture of egg consumption in many countries. We consume only 125 eggs per capita per year. And as compared to other countries, USA, UK, European countries, more than 200 or more than 300. So I think we need to improve the consumption of this kind of animal protein source. And Ministry of Agriculture actually has stated that Indonesia has already been self-sufficient in egg and chicken meat. From the self-sufficiency ratio, I think this is similar to the Philippines. the situation of eggs production. This is a study in Journal of Pediatrics by Iannotti et al. That basically 1 egg per day intervention can reduce prevalence of stunting by 47% and also prevalence of underweight children by 74%, and it decrease with food consumption among children. So intervention with egg is very important to increase the status of nutrition among children in Indonesia. This is, I calculate when you give 1 egg per day for stunted children, so it needs only 600,000 rupiah per child per year, and it's only 2% of total village budget, or we call it dana desa per year. It is a very small contribution, but I think if we are going to alleviate stunting problem, so we need a food-based approach to alleviate this problem of stunting. And about the trend of fish consumption, I think we are in a good trend from 2012 to 2017, from about 30 kilograms becoming 46 kilograms per capita per year. I think this is good news for people in Indonesia who consume more fish right now. But again, if we compare to other countries like Malaysia, Singapore, or Japan, we are still the lowest in the fish consumption. This is study in China, which shows you that children who often eat fish basically have improved IQ than they who never or seldom consume fish. And now I'll tell you about the hunger paradox. Hunger paradox is a situation faced by Indonesia right now, where calorie and protein are available and sufficient to fulfill the need at national level, but high prevalence of malnutrition in the community still exists, and many people consume less than 70% of recommended dietary allowances. So the emerging of lost generation, or we call it generasi yang hilang, must be anticipated due to malnutrition or stunting. This is a malnutrition problem and causes in Indonesia. We do have stunting 27%, a little bit smaller than the Philippines. We also have underweight and also overweight. And this is because 7 out of 10 children are deficient of calorie, 50% deficient in protein, and 57% immunized with completely. And we still have about 400 districts in food insecure, and 25 million people are poor, and 32% households do not access proper sanitation. So what is the impact then? Of course, we will face the problem of growth faltering, like low birth weight, stunting, and wasting, and then impact cognitive and motoric development. And in the future, right now, we also have the degenerative disease at adulthood, and also low human resource quality that we have to improve. And this is the target of nutrition development. As we know that we still have stunting 27% based on National Survey 2018. The target in 2024 is 14%, so we have to reduce by 50% by the year of 2024. And also we have obesity among adulthood. It's increased from 15% to 21%. And also we still have anemia problem for pregnant women, which is increased from 37% to 48%. And the target in 2024 in anemia of pregnant women is less than 20%. So we have to reduce more than 60%. I think this is a big problem for us to alleviate nutrition problem in Indonesia. And as we do know that IQ loss to micronutrient deficiency in Indonesia cause IQ loss 40 to 80 million IQ point, and psychomotoric index decreased by 5 to 10 points due to anemia. This is some causes of stunting. Fetal growth restriction and preterm birth is maybe can consider main factor of stunting, and also child nutrition and infection, maternal nutrition and infection. So I think we have to make a good program for alleviating this problem of stunting. And actually, program of stunting can be optimal if we keep supplementing food and also stimulation, psychosocial stimulation. Food intervention can almost reach the non-stunted figures in the development of quotient. This is from my survey that stunting prevalence in poor household was 40%, while in non-poor was only 14%. So I can say that economic status of household is a determinant factor to cause the stunting problem among people in Indonesia. And if we can predict head circumference of stunting child is usually smaller, and head circumference is strong predictor of IQ at 7 years old. Study in Bangalore stated that stunted children have problems of attention, memory, and academic achievement. This is a situation when we have a problem with malnutrition and brain development, where we can find that in the brain development there is a deficiency in cells duplication. And this is a condition of Indonesian children. There is a gap about 12 centimeter for male when they reach age 18 years old as compared to WHO reference. And for female children, the gap is almost 10 centimeters. So if we have now the children in Indonesia 160 centimeter on the average, so actually the potential stature is 172 centimeters. And this is a study publication in Lancet that children who are undernourished in the first years will face maybe chronic disease related to nutrition, like diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and hypertension. So WHO since 2000 stated that a country with malnutrition prevalent more than 15% must have supplementary feeding program, especially for the poor. And if malnutrition in Indonesia is about 70%, so you can imagine that actually we have to develop a supplementary feeding program in the post-Chandu nutrition program. So here is our problem that consumption of egg, milk, beef, chicken meat, vegetable, and fruits are low, then lower order thinking skill is high. This can be seen from this table that lower order thinking skills experienced by Indonesia 70% among children, Hong Kong 15%, Taiwan, Singapore, Korea less than 15%. So I think this is a problem for our children that we have very high lower order thinking skills. And this is from PISA, Program for International Student Assessment, which shows that Indonesia ranks 69 out of 76 countries when they are tested with math, reading, and science. Singapore number 1, Hong Kong number 2, Japan number 3, and Indonesia number 69. I think this is a very big problem in intellectual of our children. And this is the effect of stunting to the ability of reading, that in mild stunting, the reading of ability is 78 for men, but in severe stunting 63. So we can say that severe stunting has a very negative effect on reading score. And also this is a comparison between the income per capita per year when someone stunting at the year in the first child. There is I think the difference between male and female is 900 and 659 between severe stunting and non-stunting. And the last one is, this is from my study, that people who bring their child to Posyandu nutrition program, so the prevalence of stunting was lower than people who participated low. I think this is a good news for us that Posyandu is a good program for Indonesian children and especially for children under 5 to participate, where they come to Posyandu every month, and then the cadre of Posyandu with the children, give immunization and all, and the consequences that stunting can be reduced by participating in the Posyandu. I think that's all our presentation. Thank you, Professor Bernarda Saragi.
Thank you very much. The excellent presentation today shared to us, especially to me, because we have, I think, still the summer problem, how to the solution to decrease of the stunting, especially also and poverty, I think, is poor, because so problem. We have a task for the 2030, so that how to make the poverty is zero, and also the hunger is zero, a state in SDGs. I think the one is the problem to us, not only in Indonesia, but it's the overall of the world, I think. Thank you very much to Professor Ali Komsan today. He gave the excellent share to us, especially to me. And before to continue the next session, we return to the MC, Ms. Nopa, because we want to give the certificate to the 3 speakers today. And Ms. Nopa, please, your time's now.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Bernarda Saragi, and thank you also for your great presentation to all invited speakers. The next agenda is distributing the e-certificate. I'd like to ask you to stay online. You might take a cup of coffee or water to work up. We are almost in the discussion time. All right, we would like to present the ceremonial e-certificate to all speakers for sharing their expertise in this section. And to present the ceremonial e-certificate, kindly be seen in the other screen. Even though we cannot meet in here, we would like to give our grateful for your time and then your presentation. Our Dean of Faculty of Agriculture, Mula Warman University, or the representative from by Professor Dr. Bernarda Saragi. The certificate will be given to the Professor Dr. Domingo Angeles. Ladies and gentlemen, please send your big hands for our first speaker, Professor Dr. Domingo Angeles from UPLB, Philippines.
We gave certificate to Professor Dr. Domingo Angeles. Many thanks for excellent material today, especially sharing how to solve the problem, things, nutrition, also food security in Philippines. Please accept this certificate and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you.
Terima kasih. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. The second certificate will be, okay. The second certificate will be given to Dr. Patimakon Pasuwan. Ladies and gentlemen, please send your big hands for our second speaker, Dr. Patimakon Pasuwan from Khon Kaen University, Thailand.
Thank you very much to Dr. Patimakon Pasuwan and for the excellent material. Especially, we have the one opinions to decrease the sodiums in your product. We waiting your product in Indonesia. I think make our sodium decrease, I think. And please accept this certificate and thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Next.
Third certificate will be given to Professor Dr. Insinyur Ali Komsan. Ladies and gentlemen, please send your big hands for our third speaker from IPB University, Indonesia, Professor Dr. Ali Kosman.
Thank you very much for Dr. Ali Komsan. He is my teacher in IPB University, I think until now. And he shared to us especially how to decrease the stunting, also how to the correlation, the poverty to nutrition. Thank you very much. It was extraordinary things today, I think. Please accept this certification and thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Bernata Saragi.
Thank you so much. That's all for giving the e-certificate. We are highly recommended you to unmute yourself when you have questions during the discussion, or you also can send your questions by chatting in the chat box. Remember, we will have a photo section. Take a note to turn on your video after discussion session. We will have a very nice picture later. And now we would like we will hold a discussion time. I will give back the microphone to Professor Dr. Bernata Saragi.
Thank you very much to Ms. Nova Solina Purba, MSc. And now we want to discuss, especially maybe we take from the chat box the many questions to our speakers today. Please, again, feel free to deposit your question in the chat box, all of the participants. And now we want to share the question. The first question to the Professor Domingo Angeles. Please share questions. Okay. Please, may it show, Mr. Arta, show the question. Small, I cannot read. Yes, okay. I read this question. The question from Professor Dr. Ali Komsan, Indonesia, to Professor Domingo. Do you have trend of stunting problem within 10 years, increase or decrease? What nutrition program you have to reduce stunting in your country? Is the biofortification program in agriculture, example rice, high in zinc or high in the beta carotene to alleviate micronutrient deficiencies among children? Please, Professor Domingo Angeles, to explain to us the first question for you. Thank you very much.
Well, we have biofortification program, as I have presented in my slide. The Department of Health in the Philippines is actually on top of this biofortification program. I do not have the details of this, but rest assured, Dr. Ali, that I will email to you the stunting trend over the last 10 years, including the biofortification program. Now, regarding the question on how to make the youth particularly attracted to agriculture, well, we have a program in the Philippines which support financial assistance to the youth, which extend financial assistance to the youth who will venture into agribusiness, no? Or agricultural enterprise. There is money in agriculture, but the only problem is that the youth sees the farmers, no, as representing agriculture, no. Well, the farmers in the Philippines are old. They are poor, as I have mentioned. They have attained up to elementary education. Some are in some high school, and they get older faster because they are exposed to the sun and to the soil, no? And so the feature of farmer seems to be projecting agriculture as a difficult job, no? There is always a misconception among the families in the Philippines There is this story about two children, two siblings. One is brighter and the other one is poorer in intelligence. And the brighter one would like to take up agriculture, and the parents said, "Why will you take up agriculture? Why not be your brother who is poorer in intelligence?" So, so that is where the misconception comes in. No? So uh, we are the Department of Agriculture, and even in our College of Agriculture and Food Science, is trying our best to the make agriculture sexy, so to speak, to attract the youth. For example, we have agriculture biotechnology program in our college. In that program, only 10 courses are different from the existing Bachelor of Science in Agriculture program. So essentially, when you take up that program on agricultural biotechnology, you're essentially taking up agriculture. And you know, from our target enrollment of 70 per year, no, we're getting 100 students, 110 students. In some years, it is more than the number of students enrolling in the Bachelor of Science in Agriculture. So that's one way by which we can make agriculture attractive. And maybe the media should play a major role. No, they should project in their writings. No, agriculture as being an attractive profession. No, need to say, slowly they should probably feature successful farmers or successful agricultural entrepreneurs. No, the truth of the matter is that the misconception also arises from the fact that income earned by farmers are lower than the income generated when they work in the industry. So I think there are a lot of things that must be changed. Even the salary wage policy, the wage policy of the government. You see, if you work in the industry, the wage is 500 pesos per day. If you will work in agriculture, your wage is 250 per day. I think that policy must be reviewed and must be changed. So if you are a youth and you would like to earn an income, where will you go? You will go to the manufacturing sector or to the industry, because there you will, earn a lot more than when you go to agriculture. So there are a lot of things that must be done in order to attract the youth to agriculture. I hope I answer your question.
Okay, thank you very much to Professor Dr. Domingo Angeles. I think the clear to us, especially to me, and also the question is, I think the good answer, I think. And the second question is from Rahmadani N. Unikarta. Unikarta is the one of the university in Regency in Kutai Kartanegara. It's the part of the province East Kalimantan. The question is to Professor Domingo, how to make the human resources, particularly young people in your country, to interesting agriculture sector to relate COVID-19 pandemic. And how do you think, Prof, intensification or extensification effective methods to increase agriculture product in your country? Thank you very much. Please, time used to Professor Domingo Angeles.
Actually, I have answered the question. I have answered the question of it.
Yes. Okay.
That's been answered.
Yes, I think there is not, and I think the question, answer is complete to Ramadhani. Thank you very much. And now to the second speakers, to Dr. Fatima Korn Paswan. The first question is, coffee versus tea, which one is higher in the antioxidants? How many cups of coffee are considered okay for our health? And people who smoke most of the times are coffee drinkers. Do you think there is correlation of drinking coffee and smoking from also Al-Komsan, Professor Komsan Indonesia? Please, time yours to explain it to Dr. Fatima Korn. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for the question. Yeah, comparing coffee and tea, which one is higher in antioxidant? Yeah, in this case, I think like teas might be like higher in antioxidant. But the coffee that I try to make, I would like to have like the coffee that high antioxidant, because like chlorogenic acid, it also like it's some kind of antioxidant also. But yeah, in this case, if you ask me like coffee or tea, which one is higher in antioxidant, I might answer tea. And how many cups of coffee are considered okay for our health? It's really difficult question, because I used to believe like if you consume a lot of coffee, more than 2 cups per day, you might have like the high blood pressure. But when I see the doctor said like it's not related to the habit about like the cup of coffee in your daily life. It might be related to your age, because yeah, that the doctor said to me. But I stopped drinking coffee because like because I'm getting old and I don't want to have like the high blood pressure, so I stopped drinking coffee. But coffee is also consists of like some benefit, like the caffeine. It can also like good for your health. For example, like the people who have like low blood pressure, the caffeine might be like good for your health. But the people who have like high blood pressure, it might be like not good for your health. But how many cup of coffee that's good for your health? I will answer like not more than 2 cups of coffee. And as far as I know, like you drink coffee because you don't want to have like you would like to have some you might get like more excited, something like that, and you would like to when you feel sleepy, right? You consume you drink coffee. But it doesn't work if you like you feel sleepy, and you have to drink it before you, like when you feel sleepy and you would like to go to bed. Even like you drink coffee and you will sleep at the end, so it doesn't work. So when you would like to have more energy, so you would like to have some energetic, so you have to drink coffee more than 30 minutes before you go to bed, so it might be good. People who smoke most of the time are coffee drinker. Really? Okay. Do you think there is correlation of drinking coffee and smoking? It's also difficult one for me, because I used to be like the coffee lover, but I'm not a smoking person, so I'm not quite sure about that. but maybe there's some correlation about that. So it might be good for me to have the research to study about that. Yeah, that's my answer. I'm not quite sure about the correlation about drinking coffee and smoking. Because yeah, I'm just thinking of my friend here. She is also like a coffee lover, but she is not a smoking person. But yeah, I'm just thinking like I have a lot of friends who are coffee lover, but all of them are not a drinking person, and I'm not a smoking person. So I don't know. Maybe some correlation. Maybe you can tell me. Ali, right?
Yeah,
From
I think in
Indonesia.
Indonesia, people who smoke
Yeah.
usually
It's
coffee
quite
drinkers.
different in Thailand. Okay.
I really don't know the correlation. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for Indonesian persons, so like people who drink coffee also smoke, right?
No, they who smoke usually drink coffee. Not who drink coffee and then smoke. People who smoke usually drinks coffee.
I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, I would say like I used to do my research in the Netherlands. So people who smoke, so they would like to lose weight, something like that. So I'm not quite sure about that. Like we in the Netherlands, people believe like when we smoke, when they smoke, so they can lose weight. So I'm not sure about that. But we don't have like any belief about that in Thailand. Okay. Yeah, for the second question from Sinta, right? So I answer her in the to the chat privately already, but I will answer it also here. How do I treat to increase the quality control of green coffee bean, right? And how long can green coffee store in the room temperature? What about the expire date of green coffee? As I mentioned in my presentation, I use the coffee bean from Chan State, from Myanmar. I would say like that certified products from Myanmar, because the local producer that I work with, he has a lot of connection from the coffee producer from several countries around Asia. So he said like this is like the good one. So I mean the bean, the good quality of bean. So that the certified products from Myanmar, so we don't have to worry about like the quality of the raw material. But after the raw material arrive in the lab, so we keep the beans in the right temperature and also like the right relative humidity, because we also worry about the growth of molds and also like the toxin production in the bean. So we don't want to have that happen in our raw material. So we quite sure like we kept the product in the right condition. And how long the green coffee store in the room temperature? How long can green coffee store in the room temperature? As to the sensory evaluation, we try to have the consumer finish it in 30 minutes. So we try to keep the product in the right condition. So maybe it's no longer than 30 minutes in the room temperature, at the room temperature. And what the expire date of the green coffee. So for the dry product, so the expire date is about 6 months. That's all of my answer. I think.
Okay, thank you very much to Dr. Fatima Korn.
Thank
Excellent
you.
things. And now we continue to the third speakers. This question is from the Rizky Fortuna Devi. The question is about the, I read this question from, okay. As you know, COVID-19 crisis has exposed the fragility of current foods and etc. So what do you think about our better approaching methods, giving greater focus on building local decentralized food system or international trade for developing food security? Do we need to change our approach for ensuring global food security and achieve SDGs? Thank you very much. Please, to Professor Ali Komsan, to make it bit explain to us. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Bernata Saragi. I think the government from Indonesia has put very high priority on food production, especially on rice production. That's why that some kinds of food like soybean production, corn production, and other tubers, it looks like being neglected and not considered as a good economic food. So that the problem of producing some kind of food like soybean is we don't have any competition with, we have to compete more with production from America, for example. And because of subsidy policy in America, then if we import the soybean from America, it's more cheaper. It's very cheaper than if we produce soybean by ourselves in Indonesia. So this is, of course, this is a problem of policy in agriculture and also in Ministry of Trade. How can we put some priority on the welfare of the farmers by introducing them to plant some foods which are very needed by people in Indonesia, but until now still imported. We really import very many of kinds of food like milk and also meat and also soybean and corn also. So this is a problem of self-sufficiency in our country, and hopefully the Ministry of Agriculture and Ministry of Trade has good policy for the welfare of the farmers in Indonesia. Thank you, Professor Bernata.
Okay. Nova, can you hear me? Yes? Okay.
Sir?
Yes, okay. Thank you very much. Because we have time up, and I'm sorry to say to all participants, especially we cannot answer all of the question and things, but the session is time's up, and we give back to the Ms. Nova. And thank you to all of the participants today, especially to our speakers, to Professor Dr. Domingo A. Angeles. Thank you very much for you and all of.
Thank you very much. And maybe doctor, you can share my email to the participants so that if ever they have questions.
Yes, Professor Domingo, I will share the email to the participants today, and also to Professor Alkomsan and to Dr. Fatima Korn Pasuan. And thank you for your excellent presentation today, and all of the participants today. Thank you very much, and see you again the next virtual seminar. I return to the Ms. Nova to closing this seminar. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Bernata Saragi. And now we will hold a photo session. I would like to invite you all to turn on your video. So we are going to have a very nice picture, and then we are going to upload our picture in our website. Please turn on your camera or your video. We are going to have a nice picture. It will be arranged by the operators. Let's take a picture together. Have a big smile. 3 go. Thank you so much. You have a very, very nice face. So I can see everybody in here. I was thinking like I'm talking with someone else, but nothing in here. But now I can see your face finally. Thank you so much. And welcome once again from International Seminar 2020, which organized by Agriculture Faculty Mula Warman University, Indonesia, with our big topic, poverty, food, and nutrition security. And we also prepare the e-certificate for all participants. It is very nice to see you all once again, and we hope I hope you been enjoying yourself in this seminar so far, and we are very honored to have you with us today in this afternoon. Now we will close this seminar. I would leave you with a quote. Like I just like imagine like make my own quote, but it's like maybe you can accept my quote. So a future of agriculture in our hands. So we are maybe as students, or maybe we are as researchers. We fight for the how to make the zero hunger, or maybe how we fight like how to make the best food functional, and to for our future of agriculture. And let us all be guided by all the things we have learned and then we heard taught by this seminar. And I hope that those presentation are able to see and influence for our future. Thank you, and thank you very much and for be a part of us today. Please forgive us for our shortcoming until we meet again. Perhaps in the next feature, we can meet face-to-face, maybe in our university, Mula Warman University, Indonesia, or maybe we can go somewhere and we will meet somewhere. Stay safe, and then God bless you all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Achan. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. Noah, hope to see you soon. Hope to see you all.
Ali.
Hope to see Professor Salachi in Thailand again.
Yes.
Hope to see you.
After the offer the COVID-19, I will be go there to China again.
Yeah, right. Okay, take care.
Yes, also to the Professor Domingo Angeles, because I was
see you someday. See you.
I meet to the Dean of Agriculture, Professor Dr. Enrico, and I think I send my regards to the Professor Lotis and Enrico.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.